We finally got the main support for Dark Irregulars, and see if it's up to snuff to make Dark Irregulars the clan that everybody wants it to be.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, it's Tuesday, so that means another reveal stream for us to dissect and see what the new cards will do and how they might work in the current builds that we got. And today it was the main reveals for Dark Irregulars. And these cards were very highly anticipated by the community, as seen as Dark Irregulars doesn't really have a great spot in Standard right now, and it's referred as one of the most weakest Protect clans that we got. And we were hoping a lot from these cards, and to see if they could bring Dark Irregulars finally to a playable level, or at least a strong enough level that they can compete in the Standard meta. And I'm gonna be very honest, the first moment that I saw these cards and I saw the skills, I was quite disappointed. I thought they were pretty bad, they didn't really do much, or they had awkward numbers, as you're gonna see in a few seconds. So I thought, why are they doing this to Dark Irregulars? Why are they not making just outright good cards that are strong? But then I saw all the other cards, and I saw them together and seeing all these new interactions between them, and I was like, holy crap, this is actually pretty good, and it's pretty insane. And if you then combine it with No Life King as an extra strong finisher together with Doreen the Thruster and with Demon Eater, then the Dark Irregulars can now be looking really good, as since they have very good control options now, they are very aggro from the start, and they have acceleration of soul charge capabilities now. So you have no issue, at least the issue of being stuck on a lower soul count and no real way to fill it up faster, that is somewhat fixed now, and we have to see now in practice if it's actually that's the case and how it works out, and we still got some reveals left. But as it is looking now with these three cards that were revealed in this stream, I have high hopes for Dark Irregulars. But let's go into the cards themselves to see what I'm referring to and how these cards might interact. So because if you already seen the cards and you're scratching your head like, I'm not seeing this, well, that's what we're going into right now. So first off, we've got the grade 1, and that is Alluring Succubus, and her skill is act on Rayguard Circle, counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul, look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 2 grade 3 cards from among them, put up to 1 in your hand, put up to 1 in your soul, and shuffle your deck. So one thing to note about this card is that you are not mandatory to put 1 into your hand and put 1 into your soul. You can, if you see 2 or more, you can choose to put 1 only in the soul and that's it, and shuffle your deck with those cards, or put only 1 in your hand and then shuffle your deck. You can choose what you want to do with this. So it's interesting that you have the choice in that, but I wouldn't see currently why you wouldn't put 1 in your soul and 1 in your hand, as since it's +1/+1 on your soul and hand. But besides that, this is just a tech card that allows us to potentially put our soul +2. It helps us maybe fetch our grade 3 if we don't have 1 in hand. So it's a nice thing that we can add to our deck as a good tech option. I don't think it's an obvious include in most decks. I think it's more to tailor to your playstyle if you like this kind of card or not. But the interesting thing about this card in particular is the fact that Bushiroad has their own Facebook page, and they upload the reveal stream cards on that page right at the end of when the stream is done. And they also upload it with an English translation as a description of the picture. And they always are including the Japanese version of the card as the picture. But for this card, they included the English translation. That's why the card here on screen is with the English translation in the picture itself. As I was quick enough to get access to that card, as the moment I was editing this video, they removed that picture from their Facebook page. So maybe they weren't supposed to upload the English translation of the card directly on the Facebook page. But I'm very odd about this fact, as seen as, why not? You're an international game and you already revealed the Japanese side of the card on the reveal stream. Why not put the English version on the Facebook page, as seen as you already have access to a fully translated card? Why not give us international viewers also the direct access to these cards effect and not depend on fan translations? But that's just my take on the card now that I've seen that they already have official translations right when the cards are revealed. So that's Very interesting and odd, though. Alright, next up we've got the grade 2. And this is one that at first glance I was like, oh no, we're gonna get some crappy support once again. But we're gonna get to that why this card is actually pretty decent. So first off, her name is Flirtatious Succubus. And she has 2 skills. One is Auto and Rearguard Circle. At the end of the battle that it attacked a Vanguard, put this unit into your soul, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and retire it. So we have seen this skill before, as in the form of the Kagero card Spillover Dragon. The only difference is, I believe Spillover Dragon needs to be boosted, and it costs a counterblast. This one doesn't cost a counterblast, doesn't need to be boosted, just need to attack the Vanguard, and then you can retire something. Alright, that's pretty great. The only downside is, it's an 8k body. So it's a better skill than Spillover. You have a better option to retire something. You can also put pressure on your Vanguard, on your opponent's Vanguard, and then retire Rearguard. So that's actually pretty good. So in that case, it balances it a little bit, as the 10k body is a lot better than an 8k body. But she also has a second skill, and that is Act, Soul, Cost, Counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, and return this card to your hand. So you can cycle this thing from your soul indefinitely every time that you pay a counterblast. The only downside is that you go -1 on your hand, but this one fetches from your soul to your hand. But that means you're going to -1 on your soul. So it depends on the situation that you want to use the skill sometimes or not. It is actually pretty good that we have access to basically retire options whenever we want, as seen as an X skill. So in the next turn that we think, we want to snipe that rearguard, alright, counter +1, fed it to hand, call it to the field, attack with it, and then it goes to the soul. So that's actually pretty neat. And it is a mid-battle soul gain card, so if we have a Doreen the Thruster on the field, she goes in the soul, Doreen the Thruster plus 5k. That's also pretty neat. But besides the 8k body, I had my worries if this card was actually pretty decent, as running more 8Ks, as since we already have that Werebeard as an 8K, that can be very dangerous if you have too many 8Ks grade 2s, as you're not hitting good numbers early game and you're putting out no pressure. And that was always the issue with Dark Irregulars, that it has no pressure besides for the final grade 3 turn, but when you go into that turn, you want to finish it when they already are sitting at 4 or 5 damage, and this card doesn't really help with that. But then we got the VR, and when we see the VR skill, then everything starts to fall into place. So let's get right into that VR. So the VR for Dark Irregulars in this set is King of Mask, Dentarian, and he has a whopping of total of 3 skills. So first off, his first skill is Continuous of Vanguard Circle. When you would call a Guardian, you can call a grade 2 or greater card from your soul. You can call any number of cards to the Guardian Circle. So basically what you can do is call, when you're being attacked, you can call all your grade 2s and grade 3s from your soul to the Guardian Circle. And it doesn't state that it only is when your Vanguard is attacked. So you can also do it when their rearguard is attacking your Vanguard, when their Vanguard is attacking your Vanguard, or when their units are attacking your rearguard. So you have more guard potential. The only downside is that you're losing soul for it. But if we have an excess of a lot of soul cards, then that might not be really a problem. And also have more access to Guardian option is pretty good, as seen as Dark Irregulars doesn't draw a lot. And with this we can utilize our soul a lot more via other skills than just ramping up soul to get to numbers to activate skills. This brings the whole thing by soul charging a lot of cards to a whole other level and a more meaning to keep soul charging cards. So that's a pretty decent skill. But there is a more interesting way that this card can be used. It's the fact that it has a lot of synergy with a lot of other cards. But I will get into that when we discuss all the other skills. So his second skill is Auto and Vanguard Circle. When your opponent's rearguard is retired during your turn, you may soul charge 2. So when we retire something, we can soul charge 2. And then we see why Alluring Succubus is suddenly pretty damn good. As when she goes into soul, you retire something. Well, she goes into soul, that's a +1 on soul. But now that we retired something, that's the +3, as soon as we now can activate the Dentarian skill and soul charge 2 extra cards. Also, other retire skill cards suddenly become a lot stronger, as like Gwyn the Ripper, that's soul charge on place and then counter +1 retire something. Then that also activates this skill and we can soul charge another 2 cards. That suddenly becomes a lot better. So these retire rearguards effects are looking pretty damn good in combination with Dentarian. Also note that it doesn't state that it needs to be retired through a skill. So you can also just attack rearguards, and when they don't guard them, they die, they are retired, and then it activates Dentarian skill. Just like how the countercharger of Kagero works, that you can just attack rearguards and it will proc. And the last skill of a Dentarian is Auto and Vanguard Circle. When a grade 2 or greater card is put into your soul by a card ability, 3 of your rearguards get power plus 5k until the end of turn. And this is where the card suddenly becomes very interesting in how it works, as you can use the grade 2, the 8k, put it in the soul with her skill, and then activate basically the third skill. You put get multiple units gets power, and you retire something and you activate the second skill. And if you all see all these 3 skills as separate skills, the card might look a little bit underwhelming. Yeah, it can soul charge, but you need to retire something, so you need to focus on retire. You can call guards from your soul to the Guardian Circle, but it loses soul. And the other is, yes, it can power up the field, but you need to put cards into your soul, and it needs to be grade 2s or greater, so it's a bit limited, and you can only give the power to rearguards. But if we see this all together, then suddenly this card can look insane, because there are a lot of cards that interact with it. For example, I give you a few examples that work amazing with this card. We have Blue Dust, the grade 2, that when it hits, when it hits, so it can even hit rearguards, you can soul charge 1 for each of your opponent's grade of your opponent's Vanguard. So if they're a grade 3 and you hit, you can soul charge 3. But think about it, you can just attack the rearguard. They probably maybe say no guard. You retire something. So first you can soul charge 3 cards with this thing. So that's 3 extra in your soul. Then it activates Dentarian skill that you can soul charge 2 cards as soon as something was retired. So you soul charge 5 cards by hitting a rearguard. But don't forget Dentarian's third skill that states when a grade 2 or greater is put into your soul via skill, you can give 3 rearguards plus 5k. Soul charging cards is via skill. So if some of these 5 cards you just soul charge happens to be a grade 2 or grade 3, you suddenly can potentially increase your field by dramatically increasing of power. Let's say 3 cards were grade 2 or 3 of those 5 cards, and that's not really that odd to think about it. That's plus 45k to the field. 3 units are going to get an increase of 15k, and it can potentially be 25k. So that's already pretty insane with only Blue Dust. There are many more. I mean, also the the skill that can use cards from the soul to the Guardian Circle is very good with something like Soul Conductor, as when a unit is placed in the field, you can give it 10k shield power, so it becomes a 15k shield unit that came from the soul, and at the end of that battle you can put it on the bottom of your deck, so you're filling your deck out. So Soul Conductor suddenly becomes a very utility-full card, as seen you can basically use it from anywhere. It's not only from hand, so that makes the card even better. You have Rudven that can, when it's placed, put cards into the soul from the drop zone, damage zone, whatever. You can now put grade 2s or grade 3s from your drop zone into your soul and activate the Dentarian skill to give more units on the field plus power. So that's suddenly become a good interaction. You also have that new grade 3 Death Demonic Duke Bow, that when it's placed, and if your soul have 5 or more cards, then it gets shield plus 5k, so that if it's in the soul, you get a 5k grade 3 shield to the field. You have so many interactions. If you combine it with Doreen, for example, that power increase can spike really high. So, and if you use the grade 2 that we have released today, let's say you have her in the field and Doreen behind your Vanguard and a column to the left. You attack with that grade 2 to the Vanguard, well, they may be guarded or not, and then you put it in her soul, and that activates the Dentarian skill that you can give 3 units plus 5k. So you give Doreen plus 5k and a column plus 10k in total. Doreen's skill will activate as soon as unit was put in the soul, so she gets another 5k. Then Dentarian skill also activates the second skill that a grade 2 or higher was put in the soul by a skill, so you can soul charge another 2 cards. And by that, Doreen gets another 10k. And if it happens to be that one of those 2 cards, or maybe 2 of those 2 cards, are grade 2 or higher, then Dentarian skill activate another once or 2 times its first skill, so you can give maybe another 10k to Doreen and another 20k to that left column. And all these interactions can look like a gigantic power spike from early on now. Dark Irregulars can, in the right combination with these cards, can power creep really hard in early game. So you can now attack with crazy numbers without relying on Werebear now, as usually Werebear and Doreen were your only way to gain high numbers. Dentarian is making this a whole nother level, as seen as all these interactions are pretty goddamn crazy. Because don't forget, random soul charging is still putting units into your soul via skill. And if those random soul charges happens to be a grade 2 or a grade 3, his skill activates and you give power to the field. And that is pretty gosh damn good if you ask me. But that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about these cards, and there are probably some interactions that I'm looking over. This card, his 3 skills are just so elegantly designed. They look really awkward on paper just separately, but when you look at them together, and also with the cards that were already released, and I talked about Soul Conductor, Alluring Succubus, Doreen the Thruster, even Werebear, for example, Gwyn the Ripper, Ruthven, all these cards work so well with this thing. And if you then combine it with a finisher like No Life King, then write it on top, and then basically when they already were pushed for high damage, then you're looking at a really strong card. And it also has that really neat defensive skill that you can guard from your soul. And with cards like Soul Conductor and that the Great 3, that the Dark King Ruler, yada yada yada, it also gets some 5k. And when we potentially get other units that are getting more shield or some skills that work on the Guardian Circle, we have the Grade 1, but sadly that doesn't work, as soon as you can only call Grade 2s or higher from your soul. But overall, it's looking pretty gosh darn good, and also very interesting with all these different interactions. As I already stated, these combination of skills that activate by via using different skills, and they keep chaining into each other. And that's the thought alone that you attack with blue dust and then they let that die, and you can soul charge 5 cards, and for every grade 2 or 3 that you soul charge, then you can stack more power. It's just mind blowing. It's how scary the deck can be. I'm looking so forward to this for Dark Irregulars, to be honest. And I think this is exactly what they needed. This is early game aggression and soul charge acceleration and defensive capability. It's everything that they need in that sense. So, and it's still got some cards, I believe double rares, that needs to be revealed. So I'm very excited for what they're gonna get. And I think all you Dark Irregulars players are pretty happy with this guy, with these reveals. And then at least I hope you are, as I personally think that Dark Irregulars is looking really good. But that's just me. I want to know what you guys think of these reveals and how you think these cards might affect the deck and how these work. And just so let me know in the comments down below everything about your opinions and whatnot, and what you're hoping to see for the other support that's still yet to be released. And just let the discussion going in the comments down below. And yeah, as always guys, I'm Mr. Time Leap, and I see you guys in the next one.